If you think about it and see around you, you will notice feminists making sure they promote feminine men as real men. Their agenda is to make them so feminized that these men are scared of being with a woman because women have now become increasingly masculine. These women want to take revenge on guys by systemically reducing their aggression that comes from being masculine and encouraging young boys to be more emotional, to cry, to get scared of little things, and to not act like a man at all. However, these women are forgetting that having men around who won't approach women or even want to be with women for whatever reason is a double-edged sword and is bound to bite them in the back in all of their fury against men. Because, as you know, more and more men will become more feminine and more women will become masculine. The women will eventually realize that they have no men to be partners with. The men will recognize who they are now that they're being missiled by society. Because you know what, if you look at history, men live according to what they're naturally supposed to be and supposed to do with life. It's the women who have had the problems. So men will get back to being masculine and women will find they're going against nature. But out of stubbornness, they'll keep living that way until they're alone and miserable at age 50. And as I've already stated, we must clearly communicate to society the harm that feminism is causing around the world and call it out on it. It began as an admirable movement for women's rights and social participation. But now that I think about it, it's more of a movement that encourages women to subjugate males and assume their positions in society, or rather, a movement that maintains an anti-male narrative. It completely ignores the true value of women as feminine beings who have the biological superpowers of being able to give birth to human beings, of being able to care for children and men, and nurture families. These are qualities men don't have. These are qualities that make women stand apart. However, the feminism of today perpetuates a rebellious faction of women who only want to live a life based on how low-quality men used to live their lives, sleeping around with women, and not embracing the responsibilities of being men. Modern feminism is teaching women to be second-class males instead of first-class women. Today's anti-male feminist women have a staggering number of men they've slept with, and they are happy about it. They take pride in the fact that they don't have any obligations to take care of their own bodies or well-being. They continuously strive to enslave and oppress men, and they believe they have succeeded when they do so. In order to give themselves an ego massage about how superior they are to males, they purposefully reject and ignore guys, which makes them complain about why men don't approach them anymore. Today's version of feminism empowers women to not just want equality, but to gain superiority over men. As Jordan Peterson put it in one of his interviews, feminists today think about 1% of men who wronged women in the past and use that to treat every man or the other 99% in the same way, basing their whole lives and the feminist ideology on it, which is a completely illogical thing to do. And this is why modern women today have incredibly high body counts, because they've equated that with being independent and free, and with getting back at that trivial number of men who did oppress women. This is the reason I believe that present-day feminism has mostly lied to women. Modern feminism has stripped women of their meaning and purpose and replaced it with a new one that will only make them more unhappy. You simply need to look at the women in your community or online to understand what I mean. Feminism is to blame for how sad women are. They think they're part of some positive movement that liberates them of their worries when in fact, it only steals their value from them. I was recently reading a study that said women who enter marriage as virgins are the least likely to divorce. Women with 10 or more partners are the most likely to divorce. But this only became true in recent years, the study said. This only goes to show that the more women sleep around, the more they're likely to lose any sense of loyalty and future stability when it comes to relationships. On top of that, no man truly wants to be with a woman who has a high body count. The more you have of something, the less you eventually want it. The less desire you will have for it. And it will only decrease the more value or charm it has for you. Relationships are like that. I've seen countless videos online where women are crying because they've slept with so many men. They just don't know what to do with their lives. I've said this many times before, and I'll say this again and again. Men were created to procreate, protect, and disperse their seed. Women were created to be givers of love and warmth, and to raise children alongside their partners. Each has unique features and motives. Women have only come to believe that they are inferior beings as a result of the awakened female narrative. If they are not performing all that a man is capable of, men don't typically cry about their inability to become parents. Men rarely express a desire to raise children, while women provide the resources, income, and security. Men and women have their roles, and that has not changed. The more aligned a man is with his masculinity, the more successful he will be. He's not going to be able to attain that if suddenly decides because of popular culture that he'd rather be a woman. Similarly, the more aligned a woman is with her feminine side, the more successful she is. For her, success isn't wealth creation. It's the happiness of her children. It's in the moments that she shares with her family. However, modern feminism has completely twisted this to make it sound like being traditionally feminine is a weakness. That masculinity is a weakness, and that women need to be more masculine and men need to be more feminine. They've completely twisted it around and women are miserable as a result. I'm all for the right of women to vote, work, earn, and pursue their careers. I'm all for women being able to live independent lives. But I'm not for a society where women are taught to hate men, or that their life's purpose is to ignore their own responsibility to society being feminine and being happily invested in raising their families. I'm not at all for women who feel as though they need to sleep around with 30+ men in their 20s just so they can get back at men, or the 1% of men whom they heard did that to women in the past. There are men who still act irresponsibly or do not do justice to their gender. But that doesn't mean women have to do that too. What started as a quest for equality has transformed into a quest for dominance. Even though modern feminist women pretend to seek equality, their primary criteria for it require controlling males. Women want some degree of equality. They don't desire real equality. They want to be paid the same for a certain job that a male does, but without having to put in as much work. Women want a seat in the boardroom, but they have spa appointments that prevent them from staying until 6 o'clock. When women behave in this manner, they are only exhibiting their anti-male awakened nature, since it demonstrates their want to simply ride the success wave without having to fight for it. They compare themselves with high-quality men who literally sacrifice their entire lives and live in incredibly competitive environments, just so they can get to those positions and make a good living for their families. The idea that modern feminine women can survive in society without any men in those countries is a dangerous story that they are actively spreading. This story presents a false picture of how young women can achieve that without ever having to work for it, which makes it hazardous. Will these women work in the sewage system? Will they work in the mining industry? Will they really put themselves through the same dreadful situations that men do to support their wives and children? Or do contemporary women simply want to idolize and imitate CEOs? Why the discrepancy? Why only partial equality? I'm honest with you. Equality is not allowed here. The largest wave of MGTOW is now taking place because generations of defenseless women have been used as pawns in gender politics to establish domination. It's all right in front of us. We just need to open our eyes to the harrowing reality. Thanks for watching The Circle of Kings. As always, we're looking forward to your support. So please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything all kings like yourself need to know.